Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's CJ. I want to welcome you guys back to episode 7 of the Innovative Marine 75 EXT Reef build. Last episode we focused on aquascaping. This episode we're going to focus on lighting. That's right guys, we're going to unbox, install, and review the Orphek Osix lighting system. It's a brand new controller they came out with, and we're going to use the OR390 reef bars. So going to be my first time using reef bars exclusively on the tank. So we're going to definitely check these out and give you my first thoughts, par readings, everything in this video. So let's go ahead and jump right into the unboxing of the OR390 reef bars. Now the 90 variety fits 36-inch wide tanks, which happens to be the exact dimensions of the 75 EXT, so it should work out perfect for me. Now once you get these things out of the foam and the plastic and all the protective coverings, one thing you'll find is going to be some solid reef bars. These things are pretty heavy. I was kind of surprised at how heavy they were, and also how well constructed. They feel really solid. There's no flexing, especially with them being 3 feet long. There's no flexing at all. So two things I learned. One was going to be there's no moving parts. Everything is controlled by a heat sink on the lights. And two, they're 100% waterproof. Pretty crazy to think you can drop these things in the tank. Don't try it, but you can. If any splash and anything gets on them, they can handle it. So definitely excited to put these on the tank, turn them on, because this is my first time really using Orphek lights. So I'm kind of new to all of this. I'm happy to share it with you all. All right, so the next thing to unbox is going to be the mounting options that come with the R3 lights. Now the lights themselves come with brackets and a hanging kit to kind of stand on their own if you do want to do it that way. But in my case, trying to keep everything clean, sleek, hide the wires, so I'm opting to not hang my lights from the ceiling this build, which will be the first time in a long time. So we're going on the tank, and it comes with a mounting bracket that also comes with, I don't know what you want to call it, a clamp kind of bracket kit that actually goes on the tank, and you secure it with a few different Allen wrench type screws. Also includes like some fiberglass protection, kind of padding between the glass and the bolts themselves. So just like the lights, feels overbuilt. It's very heavy and thick, but I'm gonna find out if it can hold the lights. I've never hung lights on the tank before, having the glass support it, especially with the weight of these lights. I was really interested in seeing, if it was actually gonna work. So now for those that are not satisfied with the 15 or 16-inch height that you can get out of this mount, you can also get the extension kit, but you gotta make sure your tank stand has a back to it that allows you to attach it. Unfortunately, mine did not, and the tank was already full, so I couldn't mount it to the wall behind it. But we're gonna hold on to these for another time, just in case, I'm able to use them on a different tank. So last but not least, time to open up the brand new Osix controller. And this is the whole reason I got these lights. The fact that this allows you to run 6 different lights at the same time from one power outlet is amazing. Reef tanks plugs are a premium, and the fact that you can run 6 off this one is major. So for anyone that was curious about it, I had to make sure I pointed that out. Now this is my first time using Orphek, so I was really interested in seeing that they included some very long extension cords. So cord management, as far as reaching different things or different heights with the lights, not going to be an issue. As far as this power supply, it is a Meanwell power supply, so I'm not an electrician or one of those type guys, but I do want to share this with you all just in case someone wanted to know what kind it was. And as far as the controller itself, just like everything else, solid, feels like it's overbuilt. That's pretty much the theme. All this Orphek equipment just has a lot of weight to it, and it just feels like it was not rushed as far as, a machine making it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. This is going to be the hardware that is controlling the lights. It's going to be the computer. It does include a removable antenna, has all 6 channels available to hook up 6 different LED bars. Now I actually have 5 and 1 left to grow if I decide to, but by the end of this video, you guys are going to see that I do not need another bar because these things are really, really powerful. So let's go ahead and get to it. So now there are a few things I want to mention to you guys. First being, these OR3 bars come in 4 different flavors. And by flavors, talking about the spectrums and colors from the UV Violet, Reef Day Plus, Blue Plus, and Sky Blue are the 4 different colors. Each bar has its own specific layout as far as the LEDs, whether they're blue, yellow, warm white, cool white, all mixtures in these bars. So depending on the colors you want to make sure you pick the right one. Second thing, make sure you pick up the universal fixing bracket, especially if you want to have the hardware needed to mount these bars to the tank mounts, which is the method I'm going to choose. Without it, the hardware included only lets you hang them from the ceiling. So you're going to end up having to go to Home Depot, and don't waste a trip to Home Depot when they already have the, the bracket mounts for you. So besides that, normal aluminum, guys, it's a channel and lock type system. Once you slide the bolt in, use a nut on top to kind of lock everything in place. After you do, everything is steady, nothing's going anywhere, no concerns. So, once I got the tank measured out and the internal dimensions as far as how much the rockscape covered and, the height and all that kind of stuff, I was able to get these bars together, get them spaced out evenly on the mount, and finally get them placed on the tank. So the goal was simple: get these on the system without breaking anything, without dropping them in the water or any other chaos. So I had to recruit the kid. This is not a one-person job. Once you get this lined up, securing the bolts to the bracket on the back of the tank allows you to, have the freedom needed to raise and lower these lights. Now, I was surprised. This mount lets you get these lights up to almost 16 or 17 inches above the water, which is crazy high for a, on the tank kind of mount. But I ended up settling for around 12 or 13 inches. Due to the amount of lights and the weight of these lights, I didn't really feel comfortable putting it at the max height, getting a little too much wobble, but at around 12 or 13 inches, everything was pretty steady. So second word of advice, once you get these on, don't have the screws too tight. Leave them loose. It leaves you the freedom to adjust the lights left and right. Make sure they're centered over the tank. Also, make sure the support mounts are centered on the lights, because if you're not careful, not paying attention, there's a lot of room for error and you'll have stress points you don't want, and it's just gonna end up being all bad. So end of the day, came out good, guys. I'm really happy with how clean it looks. My first time test fitting it, I ended up using some nylon straps and some zip ties just to kind of get a feel for how it looked, but the final mounting with the screws definitely came out clean. So if you guys are interested in the tank mounts and what they look like, here we go. You got 4 large bolts securing it to the tank, and once they're on there, I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty steady. It's stable. If you wanted to wobble it, you could, but lights just setting on their own, they're not going anywhere. So let's take a quick break from filming the lights and talk about filming the tank. Now, these are going to be the Orphek coral lens, the extra wide gel filters, if you want to call them that. And I don't want to call them gel filters because they're not soft gel material that can rip or bend. They're actually lenses that fit over the iPhone. So, my last iPhone in the hobby that I recorded with only had one lens. So I was due, I was definitely due for upgrading to a newer version. And these lenses definitely should do the job. I played around with them some, but the one thing I'm really interested in is the magnifying lens. So, once coral's in the tank, I'm really interested in seeing if this is going to do the job, and hopefully, let my videos continue to be entertaining and crisp and clear and, just best they can be for a guy who just uses his cell phone. So we have finally installed, we have all 5 OR390 bars on the tank. And I got to tell you, this came out amazing, to say the least. And one thing I was pleasantly surprised about was the very minimal spillage of light coming into the room. These are the first lights I were able to look at with them being at 100% blast without feeling like I needed sunglasses or any glare blinding me. So, with this being in a common area in the apartment, this is definitely major. And knowing that all of the usable light at 13 inches above the tank is being beamed straight down onto the aquascape. So this is going to be what it looks like. This is going to be the first look at these OR3 bars on the Innovative Marine 75 EXT system. Wall-to-wall coverage, and we're going to dive a little deeper into it. Now, before we do that, I want to answer a question I had on Instagram asking about the heat off the fixtures. How hot do they get? Well, I had to try it out. What better way to do it on YouTube and sharing you guys, the experience I have, right? So here we go. I'm taking a leap of faith, seeing if I don't get a suntan. But honestly, no heat, guys. I can touch it on the bottom. I can touch the top of the fixture. Very, very minimal heat coming off of this. So if you have a cabinet you want to enclose these in, I don't really see an issue. Heat sinks do an amazing job. So hopefully these lights stay cool and last forever, or at least as long as I need them to on this tank. So next question, wire management. How do you hide the wires? Well, zip ties and a little ingenuity ended up having these wires going straight down the original mount holding it to the tank. Now from the side, of course, you can see it. If you're looking for them, you can see them. But if you're just looking at the tank, not paying attention, you are not going to spot these wires. And it came out pretty clean. The goal was to have a seamless look, matching the overall look of the tank. So, these lights are going to get it done. Now, the last question I want to answer is going to be shimmer. How much do these lights shimmer? Do they provide any shimmer? With the wall-to-wall spread, is it more like a flat blanket of T5 light with no shimmer? No, it's not, guys. There is tons of shimmer in the tank, from the sand bed to the rock work. I don't really see any real disco ball effect. The camera, I'm not sure if it's showing clarity as far as the shimmer and what it looks like, but to the naked eye, it looks amazing. So, I really can't wait to see how this looks with corals and fish, but we're gonna keep it moving. Now, I promised you guys a full look at these lights. So what kind of light, first impressions and review would it be without power reading? So local reef club hooked me up with letting me borrow the Apogee MQ510 power meter. So it's going to be one of the ones everyone uses in the hobby. So what better way for us to test these lights and get the truth about, how powerful they are? Can I really get the power and spread needed in the tank? We're going to answer all of those questions in this video. So if you're curious about it, stay locked in, because the results of this are pretty damn crazy. I don't want to drag this video out too long, so let's do a little multitasking, if you want to call it that. We're checking PAR, and we're also going to check out the Orphek Icon app. Now, this is going to be the app that uses the Osix, software and the new program that they have. Now, from what I can tell, version has not been changed since 2 months ago. I believe this is the original app that came with the icon light, maybe with a few twists to match the Osix software. I really feel like this is still in its new stages. I really feel like it has room to grow. It has opportunities for improvement for sure, but overall, it does give you control of the lights. And by control of the lights, I'm talking about the power for each channel. So you got to think, if this was hooked to an icon light, the Orphek, base model light, then it allows you to control each individual spectrum within the light. But with these channels being hooked to the light bars themselves, you can control the power to each bar individually. So it's kind of, can you control your spectrum? Yes, you can. Can you clearly control each individual LED? No, you can't. So I just want to make sure I made that clear from my first impressions with it. That was one thing I did notice, but that's where it comes in as far as choosing the light bars, the colors you want to allow you to be able to change those spectrums. So, other than that, I'm going to kind of walk you guys through the different functions of it. Now, one neat thing is going to be the lunar function. And this is the neatest part about this light and the software. It allows you to dim the lights down to less than 1%. Now, the reason for it was they came up with some research, basically trying to simulate the moon, and found that the moon does not give off, two little blue LED moonlights like we have on our reef tanks. It actually is a full spectrum light coming from the moon, just at very, very small PAR. So their lights allow you to be able to use all of the LEDs in your fixture with dimming them down to 0.01%, 0.02% to really simulate the moon's lunar phase. So I think that's really neat. I'm not sure how it's really gonna come into play on my tank. I've never used it before, but maybe it can simulate some spawning events. Maybe it can make the fish behave a little differently, who knows? But I haven't seen anyone using these before. I guess I'm gonna be the guinea pig until someone else pops up with the video, but I just wanna make sure I mention that. So, other than that, light settings, they have different settings and options in here as far as notifications, making sure that, if their lights are offline for too long, maybe a power outage or something. With me not having a control on the tank, I can kind of use these lights as the canary in the coal mine. If I get a power notification, then hey, maybe something's going on with more than the lights. Maybe there's a power outage in the house or something crazy like that. So, it'll be a neat feature. Sharing your lights with different people is also an option. It has all of the main things that you would want as far as, checking network connectivity or, troubleshooting. All of those options are built into the program. So, I'm not really 100% sure what it's going to turn into. With this being available to be updated is also a great thing. So turning that on because I don't want to miss anything. With it being an app on the App Store, I'm looking forward to seeing what else they're going to come out with. So, this is just kind of the base look at the base functions of this. We're going to dive a little bit more into it as we go through the video. But for those that are curious and want a real look at the app, on a phone, this is it. So the next function I want to share with you guys is going to be programming the lights. Now it does come with I believe Helio's program built in to where you can just plug and play, but you also have the ability of creating your own light schedule. Now, as far as the intuitiveness of it, I believe it could be a little different as far as being able to touch and move the points yourself, without having to go back and delete a point or all of that kind of thing. So you can build your schedule, but as you build it, you select your time points, you select the spectrum, you select the wattage of each bar for that time point, and then you move on. Once you move on, there's not really a way to go back and select that point individually without removing the points in front of it. So those are a couple functions I would like to see on this app. But as far as being able to do it and build out a schedule and have it ramp up and ramp down and all of the normal schedule features of, light apps, is definitely available in there. And after playing with it a little, I'm getting a little better at it. And I'm still working out, the ultimate lighting schedule for my tank. But I'm in the middle of cycling, so I'm not using lights at all at the moment. And as far as par readings, we're going to talk about that because that's going to be a big part of, dictating this schedule. So I just want to kind of share the basic functions of the app with you all. What I like, what I don't like. Overall, pretty good app. Definitely could have some improvements, and I feel like they're going to come with them. We've killed enough time, guys. I've went through and checked par all over the tank, and we're going to start off with the par result of full spectrum lighting, meaning all 5 bars, 100% intensity, beaming down into the Innovative Marine 75 EXT. And the numbers are staggering, guys. I did not expect the even spread and power of these lights to be this high. So, looking at them visually, they're bright, but it didn't feel like they were as bright as the, Radions I've had in the past. But 650 at the surface and almost 400 in the middle of the tank on the sand bed, and the minimum par of 300 around the edges on the sand bed is absolutely crazy. I mean, wall-to-wall light. I've never used T5, and I'm guessing this is the closest thing that I've experienced to T5 lighting as far as coverage. So LEDs literally touching both edges of the tank, and 90-degree optics right over the scape is allowing me to push all kinds of power down into the tank. So, 490 around the floating arches. We have enough light to grow whatever we want in here, anywhere we want. Now, I also did testing with all blues, meaning turning the reef days all the way off, pure, sky blue, blue plus, violet, just 3 LED bars. We're getting 420 at the surface and almost 300 at the sand bed. This is just blues only. So for those who are wondering about these lights' power, any doubts, hopefully they are removed with this video, because me personally seeing it in person, I couldn't believe it. I checked it 3 or 4 times, and knowing I have this much power available is definitely gonna, help dictate what I put the light settings at and what I put in the tank. And at this point, I really feel like it's limitless. Now, I know some of you guys may have wondered, how do you tune the lights? What does it look like when you change the bars individually? Well, I got that included in this video for you as well. I screen grabbed and tried to sync footage of the tank with the phone. It's pretty close, but it's not exact. So also remember, gel filter exposures turned down, so you're not getting the true brightness on this video. But in person, I promise you, it is crazy bright when you have these lights turned on. Now, I will tell you this. You can't control, the individual LEDs within the lights, but you can control the power going to each bar itself, meaning is it 100%, 50%? And because you have that control, you can change the look of the tank visually, whether it's more of a daylight look or a nighttime blue look. And the good news is, not being able to control each individual light is kind of making it dummy proof, meaning no matter what, as long as I have these lights turned up to 50% or 60%, I am going to have all of the LEDs needed to grow coral, meaning the spectrum is already tuned within these lights. All you're really doing is just changing the par coming out of them and the look visually for your tank. It kind of reminds me of how Kessel's made, to where you can tune it however you want, but the spectrum blending is already set for you. It's kind of the same with these lights. So, can you control it? Yes, to an extent. Is he dummy proof? Definitely. So a lot of good things I like about it that's going to help me. And I'm just looking forward to putting corals in the tank and hopefully, continue to document these lights and help answer any questions you guys may have. So at this point, guys, I did not expect this video to go as long as it's been going, but we had a lot to cover, and I wanted to do this all inclusive because if you stumbled across this video, I want to try to answer all the questions that I would want to know if I was interested in these lights. Now, there is a few other little things that we're going to learn along the way, but for now, lights are on the tank. We are cycling, as you can see, and if you watched the last episode, a lot has changed. So be sure to go check out Instagram. Follow me at CJ's Aquariums for the most recent updates. YouTube is about 2 weeks behind. We have been cycling. I'm going to cover that in the next video because I'm trying a few things a little different when it comes to cycling the tank. But as far as the lights go, definitely enjoying using them so far. I was a little skeptical at first when, the thought of using bars on your tank has never worked out for me. I've tried them before. Didn't have the power, didn't have the intensity, the controllability that, was attractive for me to keep using them. But these lights, especially after I added the additional reef day, allowing me to push that wider spectrum throughout the tank instead of just the front bar doing it, really changed everything. So if you're gonna get these lights, pick your right color choices. For me, ended up going with reef day in the front, followed by blue plus, followed by UV violet, followed by another reef day, and then in the back of the tank I have sky blue. And that color combination has worked well for me. But you may not want reef days. You may want, pure blue. So it's really up to you. But what I will say is just be mindful of that when you're picking your bar colors. What kind of look do you want? And make sure, you add what you want. And then worst case, you have 6 channels to make changes if you decide to add or, replace bars later. So at this point, guys, we have drunk this out long enough. So we're going to get ready to wrap this up. Final thoughts on the Orphek Osix system. If I was to grade it, I really can't grade it. It's too soon. This is just first thoughts. But I will tell you, the lights themselves, solid. The technology within them, the colors, the spectrum, the power, undeniable. The only reason for improvement, I would say, would be within the app. A lot of great features. I would just like to see a little bit more intuitiveness on programming your program for the day, as far as your lighting schedule, being able to build it backwards and forwards instead of just forwards. So, but other than that, hey, if you're interested in these lights, I would say go for it. And if you already have the OR3 bars and you were wondering about the Osix controller, definitely go for it, because I could not imagine just using these lights with an on-off switch. I feel like you're really just cutting yourself short, not being able to fully control and dim them and control the power through them. So other than that, hey, it's time for us to get ready to roll out of here. Any questions, drop it down below. And as always, you like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing.